"Bitter, Katya!" Roman shouted, and the next moment his hands pushed me in the back with unexpected force, sending me flying down the restaurant's marble staircase. I tumbled down the steps, feeling my white wedding dress turn into a shroud, while the guests around me stood frozen in stupor. Only my mother-in-law, Galina Sergeyevna, laughed with joy, clapping her hands as if watching a funny performance. But they didn't yet understand that with this push, Roman had ruined not only my life but his own as well. The wheel of fate had already begun its inexorable turn. The blow struck me in the back so unexpectedly that I didn't even have time to put my hands out. The marble steps hit me painfully, and my white dress became my shroud. The last thing I saw as I fell was Roman's face, distorted with rage, and Galina Sergeyevna's triumphant smile. Then there was darkness, deep and viscous, like a swamp. It pulled me deeper and deeper. Somewhere on the periphery of my consciousness, I caught glimpses of fragments of voices, flashes of light, and worried faces. I tried to emerge from this darkness, but each time something pulled me back. The first thing I noticed upon regaining consciousness was the smell, the sharp, sterile smell of a hospital. It assaulted my nostrils, making me wince. Then came a dull, aching pain in my back. I tried to move and realized with horror that I couldn't feel my legs. "Katya, you're awake." The voice of Marina, my best friend and bridesmaid at the wedding, sounded somewhere nearby. Thank God. I opened my eyelids with difficulty. The bright light of the hospital room cut into my eyes. Marina was sitting next to the bed. Her face was puffy from crying, her mascara was smudged, and she was clutching her phone convulsively. "Where am I? What happened?" My voice sounded hoarse and unfamiliar. "You're in the hospital, Katya. You fell down the stairs at the wedding. Or rather—" Marina faltered, her eyes filling with tears. "You were pushed." Memories came flooding back suddenly like a wave in a storm. The wedding banquet, the champagne, Galina Sergeyevna's displeased looks, her whisper in my son's ear, cries of bitter, and then a push. "I can't feel my legs," I whispered, and it sounded like a death sentence. Marina squeezed my hand. "The doctors say it's temporary. Maybe. They're not sure." She turned on her phone and turned the screen towards me. The video captured the moment I fell. There I am, standing at the top of the stairs in a white dress. There's Roman next to me. There are the guests shouting bitter. And then, a sudden movement, a push in the back, and I'm flying down the steps. The camera shakes, and screams of horror can be heard. And in the background, Galina Sergeyevna is clearly visible applauding, as if in a theater. "Who filmed this?" I asked, feeling nausea rising in my throat. "Seryozha, remember my cousin? He filmed this on his phone for the family archive. No one expected it to turn out like this." There was a knock on the door of the ward, and the doctor entered, an elderly man with tired eyes and graying temples. He glanced at the monitor, checked the IV, and turned to me. "Ekaterina Andreevna, I'm Dr. Sokolov, head of the trauma department. How are you feeling?" "I can't feel my legs," I repeated. And this time the doctor's voice wavered. He nodded, as if expecting this answer. "You have a serious spinal injury, a compression fracture with spinal cord damage. We've done everything possible, but—" He paused, choosing his words. "There is a risk of irreversible paralysis of the lower extremities." The world seemed to stop. I looked at the doctor, but I didn't see him. Only one thought was racing through my head. This can't be happening to me. Not today. Not on my wedding day. "Is there a way out?" Marina asked when I couldn't utter a word. "There's a clinic in Germany. They specialize in this type of injury. They have a new technique that produces good results, but it's an expensive operation, and every day counts. The sooner the intervention is performed, the better the chance of recovery." "How much?" My voice sounded like someone else's. "About 3 million rubles, including the flight, surgery, and rehabilitation." 3 million. A sum that I, a teacher of Russian language and literature, Couldn't have saved up in 10 years of teaching at the school. "I'll talk to my husband," I said, and the word husband stuck in my throat like a bitter lump. The doctor nodded and left, leaving Marina and me alone. She silently stroked my hand, not knowing what to say. And what could she say? An hour later, the door to the ward opened again. Roman stood on the threshold wearing a rumpled suit, holding a bouquet of white roses, and his eyes completely sober. No trace of yesterday's intoxication. Galina Sergeyevna's figure loomed behind him. "Katenka, how are you?" He approached the bed and leaned over to kiss my cheek, but I turned away. "What's wrong, darling? It was an accident. I didn't mean for it to happen." "An accident?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "You pushed me down the stairs on purpose." "What nonsense!" Galina Sergeyevna intervened, walking into the room. "You were drunk, my dear. You tripped and fell." "Did everyone see that?" Marina rose from her chair. "I have a video that clearly shows Roman pushing Katya in the back." My mother-in-law's face changed, but she quickly pulled herself together. "What nonsense! The video can be interpreted in different ways. Roman simply held his bride by the waist, and she lost her balance. The doctor said, 'I need surgery.'" I turned my gaze to Roman. "In Germany, 3 million rubles." Roman exchanged glances with his mother. Something flashed in his eyes. Doubt, coolness, but it quickly disappeared. "Of course, we'll pay for everything." He put the bouquet on the bedside table. "But let's not make a mountain out of a molehill, Katya. It was an accident. We need to sign the appropriate documents for the insurance company." He took a folded piece of paper from the inside pocket of his jacket. "It simply says that you fell on your own, by accident. No claims against the restaurant or anyone else. A formality." I stared at the paper, not believing my eyes. "You want me to lie?" "I want you to be reasonable." His voice grew harsher. "If you sign, we'll pay for the operation. If not," he shrugged, "I'm afraid we'll have complications." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm offering a mutually beneficial solution. Think about it, Katya. 3 million rubles. A lot of money. Where will you get it?" He was right, and that made it even more painful. I didn't have that kind of money. I didn't have rich relatives or influential friends. There was only me, a simple teacher, and now also disabled. "Get out," I said quietly. "Both of you." Galina Sergeyevna snorted. "Ungrateful. My son is offering you help and you—" "Mom, let's go." Roman took her elbow. "Katya is upset now. We'll come back tomorrow when she's thinking more clearly." They left, leaving behind the smell of expensive perfume and a feeling of hopelessness. Marina squeezed my hand. "We'll think of something, Katya. I promise." That evening, the school principal, Nina Petrovna, called. Her voice was both worried and warm. "Katenka, how are you? We're all worried here." "It's complicated, Nina Petrovna." I didn't go into details. "Your students, they heard about what happened and decided to help. They started an online fundraiser for your treatment. They've already raised almost 100,000 rubles. Tears streamed down my cheeks. My students and teenagers who don't have any money themselves are raising money for my surgery. Thank them so much, I whispered. Tell them I'm very touched. Get well soon, Katyusha. We're all waiting for you. That night, when Marina went home and the lights went out in the room, the door creaked softly. I tensed, thinking that Roman had returned, but a young man in a waiter's uniform stood at the threshold. "Excuse me," he said, looking nervously over his shoulder. "You don't know me. I worked at your wedding. My name is Dima." "What do you need?" I asked warily. I saw what happened." He came closer and took a small flash drive out of his pocket. "We have security cameras everywhere in the restaurant. I copied the recording of the banquet. It's all there. How your mother-in-law insulted you all evening. How she whispered something to the groom before that incident. And one more thing." He put the flash drive on the nightstand. "What exactly?" My heart started beating faster. After you fell, when everyone rushed to you, I was standing next to your mother-in-law. She said, he hesitated. She said, "Finally, my son will get rid of this beggar, just like the previous one." It's recorded. The sound isn't very good, but you can make it out. The previous one. Roman had another wife. He never mentioned it. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. Dima looked down. My sister. Something similar happened to her. Her husband pushed her off the balcony. She survived, but was left disabled, and he was acquitted. There wasn't enough evidence. I can't pass by something like that again. He quickly headed for the door. "Be careful. These people, they are dangerous." When the door closed behind him, I stared at the small flash drive for a long time. What else didn't I know about the man I married just a day ago? And who was that previous one? The morning began with a quiet knock on the door. Marina entered the room with a laptop under her arm and dark circles under her eyes. She clearly hadn't slept all night, but there was a determination in her gaze that gave Katya strength. "Are you okay?" Marina sat down on the edge of the hospital bed, careful not to disturb her friend. Katya silently handed her the flash drive the waiter had left her yesterday. She didn't dare watch the recording alone. It was too scary to see the truth about the man she'd entrusted her life to. "What is this?" Marina turned the flash drive over in her hands. A recording from a wedding. The full version. The waiter brought it last night. Katya tried to sit up on the pillow and winced in pain. "There must be something important in there," he said. "My mother-in-law mentioned someone else." Marina turned on the laptop and inserted the flash drive. The screen filled with an image of a festive hall, decorated with flowers and ribbons. Katya turned away. It was too painful to see herself so happy, unaware of how this day would end. They rewound the recording to the moment before the fall. There, Katya and Roman were standing at the top of the marble staircase. Guests below were applauding and shouting bitterly. Galina Sergeyevna approached her son and whispered something in his ear. Roman's face instantly changed. The smile disappeared, his eyes darkened with anger. And then, a sharp movement of his hand toward Katya's back. "Stop!" Katya grabbed her friend's hand. "Did you see what she said to him?" Marina rewound the recording and turned up the volume. The words were indecipherable through the din of the party, but Galina Sergeyevna's lips were readable. "She's just like Lena. Get rid of her." "Lena? Who is Lena?" Katya felt a chill run down her spine. They continued watching. After Katya's fall, a commotion broke out. Guests rushed to her side. Someone called an ambulance. And in the corner of the frame, Galina Sergeyevna can clearly be seen smiling as she tells one of the guests, "Finally, my son will get rid of this beggar, just like the last one." Marina turned off the recording. A heavy silence fell over the room. "I have to find out who Lena is," Katya clenched her fists. "And what happened to her? I have a friend. She was in Roman's class. I'll contact her." Marina decisively closed the laptop. "And you rest. You need your strength." After Marina left, Katya lay for a long time, staring at the ceiling. Her thoughts were in a tangle. Who was the man she married, really? What happened to the last one? And most importantly, how could she escape this nightmare? After lunch, there was a knock on the door. Katya tensed, expecting to see Roman or his mother. But Andrei, her colleague, the history teacher, stood at the threshold. They had worked at the same school for 3 years, but had never been particularly close. "Hi," he said, shifting awkwardly from foot to foot, holding a folder of documents. "May I?" Katya nodded, surprised by his appearance. Andrei entered the room and sat down on a chair next to the bed. "How are you?" He was clearly nervous, unsure how to start the conversation. "I've been better." She tried to smile, but only a pained grimace came out. "What brings you here, Andrei?" He sighed deeply and placed the folder on the bed. "I heard about what happened at your wedding. The whole school is talking about it, and I think there's something you should know." Katya's heart sank. Something in his voice made her heart beat faster. "Remember Sveta? She worked as a nurse in the trauma department. We met a couple of years ago." Andrei opened the folder. 5 years ago, she saw a patient with a severe spinal injury. The woman fell down the stairs in their country house. Her husband claimed it was an accident. He pulled a copy of the medical record from the folder. Kaya saw the patient's name, Elena Sokolova, Roman's first wife. Andrei looked her straight in the eyes. She died 3 days after being admitted to the hospital. The official cause was complications from the injury, but Sveta said there was something strange about it. Too many coincidences. He handed her another document, the report on Elena's injuries. Katya skimmed the lines and felt her blood run cold. A fractured spine, a spinal cord contusion, multiple hematomas on her back. Exactly the same injuries she has now. "Why are you showing me this?" Katya looked up at Andrei. "Because when I heard about your fall, I immediately remembered this story. Sveta was sure back then that Elena's husband needed to be examined. She even went to the investigator, but the case was quickly hushed up, and a week later, she was fired from the hospital." Andrei paused, collecting his thoughts. "I didn't know your husband was that same Roman Sokolov until I saw the wedding photos on social media, and then everything clicked. Too many coincidences, you know." Katya understood all too well. She remembered Galina Sergeyevna's words, a whisper before a fall. "She's just like Lena. Get rid of her." "What happened to Sveta?" Katya asked, shuffling through the documents. "She left town. We broke up soon after that incident, but she kept copies of all the documents." Andrei nodded at the folder. "Just in case. And that case has arrived." Katya smiled bitterly. They sat for another hour studying the documents. Elena Sokolova, Roman's first wife, was a math teacher at a private school. They married after 6 months of dating. 3 months after the wedding, an accident occurred. A fall down the stairs in their country house. Only Roman and his mother were witnesses. "Thank you." Katya squeezed Andrei's hand. "You can't even imagine how important this is." He smiled sheepishly. "I just couldn't stay away. If you need anything, call any time." After Andrei left, Katya lay for a long time, staring at the folder with documents. Now everything fell into place. She wasn't the first, and perhaps not the last if she didn't stop them. That evening, the ward was filled with the clatter of heels and the smell of expensive perfume. Galina Sergeyevna entered without knocking. A man in a formal suit with a leather briefcase followed her. "Good evening, Ekaterina." Galina Sergeyevna smiled, but his eyes remained cold. "Meet Viktor Pavlovich, our family lawyer." Katya watched them silently. Under her pillow lay a phone with the voice recorder on. Marina had taught her to always record conversations with these people. "We brought documents that need to be signed." The lawyer opened the briefcase and pulled out several sheets of paper, a statement of no claims against the Sokolov family in connection with the accident at the wedding. "I will not sign anything." Katya looked Galina Sergeyevna straight in the eyes. "I know the truth about Elena." Her mother-in-law's face twitched, but she quickly pulled herself together. "I don't understand what you're talking about, dear. Which Elena?" "Your son's first wife, the one who also accidentally fell down the stairs 5 years ago and died." The lawyer looked from one woman to the other, clearly not understanding what was being discussed. Galina Sergeyevna pursed her lips. "Viktor Pavlovich, leave us for a minute, please." When the door closed behind the lawyer, Galina Sergeyevna came closer to the bed. Her face changed. The false smile disappeared. Her gaze became hard and cold. "Listen to me carefully, girl. I don't know who told you this nonsense, but if you think you can blackmail our family, you're deeply mistaken." She leaned toward Katya, lowering her voice to a whisper. "You have no evidence, but we have money, connections, and influence. Think carefully. What's more important to you, the truth or the chance to walk again?" Katya felt fear grip her body. This woman was capable of anything. "What do you mean?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm proposing a deal. Galina Sergeyevna straightened up. You sign all the documents, waive all claims, and never appear in our lives again, and we'll pay for your operation in Germany. 3 million rubles, and you'll be able to walk again. She paused, watching Katya's reaction. Otherwise, well, I'm afraid your videos could disappear, along with the witnesses, and you'll be disabled for life. Make your choice. Katya looked at this woman and couldn't believe that just a week ago she had considered her new family. How could she have been so blind? I need to think, Katya said, trying to buy herself time. Of course, dear. Galina Sergeyevna smiled her fake smile again. You have until tomorrow, no more. When she left, Katya took out her phone and stopped recording. Her hands were shaking. She had just received a direct threat from her own husband's mother, a woman who was possibly involved in the death of another daughter-in-law. An hour later, Marina returned with the news. She found a former classmate of Roman's who confirmed that Elena was his first wife. They married right after college. The girl was quiet, modest, and worked as a teacher. A few months after the wedding, an accident occurred, and Elena died. No one was particularly surprised. Marina repeated her classmate's words. Everyone knew that Galina Sergeyevna disliked her daughter-in-law. She believed her son deserved a better match. But no one, of course, suspected this. Katya told her friend about her mother-in-law's visit and her proposal. You're not going to accept, are you? Marina asked. Like this video so YouTube knows you're interested in video stories like this and recommends more high-quality stories. A shadow by the door of the hospital room made Katya shudder. Night had long since come into its own. The hospital corridors were empty, and the stranger's appearance at this hour boded ill. A woman in dark glasses and a headscarf carefully closed the door behind her and froze, listening to the sounds in the hallway. Who are you? Katya instinctively reached for the nurse's call button, but the stranger quickly intercepted her hand. Don't. The voice was quiet but firm. I mean you no harm. On the contrary, I came to warn you. The woman removed her dark glasses, and Katya saw a face with fine features marked by suffering, deep shadows under the eyes, a nervous line on the lips, the wary gaze of someone accustomed to constantly glancing over her shoulder. My name is Vera. I am Roman's second wife. She spoke quickly, as if afraid of being interrupted. Officially, I died 2 years ago, but in reality, I managed to escape. Katya felt a chill run down her spine. Another wife after Elena, but before her. I don't understand, Katya began, but Vera stopped her with a gesture. We don't have much time. They're probably already looking for a way to get rid of you. Vera glanced at the door and lowered her voice. I've been keeping an eye on Roman and his mother since I ran away. When I learned about the new wedding, I tried to find you, to warn you, but it was too late. She turned her back and lifted her blouse. In the dim light of the nightlight, Katya saw long scars crisscrossing the stranger's back. This is their doing. Roman pushed me off the balcony of our country house. I only survived because I fell into the bushes. I broke my spine, my arm, and several ribs. While I was in the hospital, they completed all the paperwork to take my apartment and savings, and then hired a nurse to put something in my IV. Vera lowered her blouse and put her glasses back on. I was lucky. The nurse turned out to be a decent man. He told me about the plan and helped me fake my death. Since then, I've been living with forged documents in another city. But when I heard about your case, I couldn't stay away. Katya looked at the woman, trying to comprehend what she had heard. It sounded like the plot of a crime thriller, but the scars on Vera's back were all too real. Why, was all Katya could ask. Why do they do this? Vera sat on the edge of the bed, constantly glancing at the door. Money, power, control. Roman, who inherited a large construction empire, lives in the shadow of the past. 10 years ago, his father died under mysterious circumstances, and management of the business passed to Roman and his partner, Galina. Their victims are women, carefully selected for one characteristic: a lack of influential connections and connections to influential people, often single teachers. They are forced to sign oppressive prenuptial agreements before their fate takes a terrible turn. Vera, one of the previous victims, tells Katya her story. She survived as the second, but warns Katya that she is the third. Vera hands Katya a folder containing documents collected over 2 years, including account statements, copies of documents, and witness statements. Despite Roman and Galina's caution, they have vulnerabilities. Katya, her hands shaking, accepts the folder and asks what she should do. Vera urges her to fight back and not make deals, as they will be deceived. She advises gathering all the evidence and contacting an honest investigator, warning of Roman and Galina's connections within the police. Vera abandons Katya, risking her life, as she is presumed dead. Katya, left alone, is plunged into a nightmare from which there seems to be no escape. In the morning, she contacts investigator Ignatiev. Ignatiev, a middle-aged man with a tired but attentive gaze, has examined the materials and reports that there is video evidence confirming intentional bodily harm. However, Roman's lawyers have already filed a counterclaim, claiming the recording was doctored. Katya gives Ignatiev a folder containing documents from Vera and an audio recording of a conversation with Galina Sergeyevna, pointing to previous victims: Roman's first wife, Elena, who died 5 years ago, and his second wife, Vera, who disappeared 2 years ago. Ignatiev, studying the documents, frowns increasingly, realizing the gravity of the accusations. He warns Katya about the Sokolov family's influence and their connections in the prosecutor's office, hinting at the possibility that they might try to hush up the case. Ignatiev promises to do everything possible, order an expert analysis of the video and audio recordings, and find Vera, whose testimony will be key. After the investigator leaves, Katya feels devastated. That evening, Andrei comes to her with unpleasant news. Roman has filed for divorce, and according to the prenuptial agreement signed by Katya, her apartment is transferred to him as compensation for emotional distress. Katya is horrified, not remembering signing such a document. Andrei shows her a copy of the agreement with her signature, dated the wedding day. Katya recalls Roman dismissing the documents as formalities in the chaos of the wedding day. She reads the agreement. In the event of a divorce within the first year of marriage, all of her property goes to Roman. Andrei confirms that the agreement is legally sound and virtually impossible to challenge. Katya is devastated. The apartment is the only thing her parents left her. She tells Andrei that she will be left with nothing. Andrei promises to find a way out. The next day, Dr. Sokolov informs Katya that her condition is worsening and that she needs urgent surgery. Otherwise, the paralysis will become irreversible. She has a week at most. Katya dials Vera's number, but gets an answering machine. That evening, Galina Sergeyevna arrives in the room alone, with a businesslike air. She offers Katya 3 million rubles to drop the claims and charges. Katya turns on the recorder and asks what they want. Galina Sergeyevna repeats her offer. Katya, hiding the recorder, replies that she wants justice. She insists on this despite the threats. The white walls of the private clinic seem like a prison to Katya. She is transferred from the city hospital quickly. Roman, arriving with security guards, announces that his wife will be treated at the private clinic. Dr. Sokolov objects, but Roman remains adamant. Andrei and Marina manage to whisper to Katya that they are looking for a way to help. At the private clinic, Katya is kept drowsy with sedatives. She understands they are stalling for time, so she can become disabled. On the third day, Dmitri, the orderly whom Marina found, comes. He gives Katya a small phone and advises her not to take the medications, but to throw them away. He says Marina and Andrei are preparing a publication about Roman. Katya follows Dmitri's advice, pours the pills into a flower, and by lunchtime, her thinking has returned to normal. She calls Marina, who tells her that Vera has agreed to testify, and a journalist from Novaya Gazeta is preparing the story. Ignatiev says he is under pressure, but the publication should change the situation. That evening, Roman arrives, concerned about her refusal to take her medication. Katya calls him by his first name for the first time and asks why he pushed her, why his mother was happy, and what happened to Elena and Vera. Roman flinches at the mention of Vera and leaves, saying she's too much better. Katya calls Marina, and they realize Vera is their trump card, as Roman believes her dead. In the morning, orderly Dmitri reports that the article has been published and is gaining popularity. Everyone is talking about it. An hour later, Marina calls. The article has exploded online. Ignatiev says the case won't be hushed up, and they're going to the clinic. But the joy is premature. Galina Sergeyevna bursts into the room, accusing Katya of slander. Roman follows her in. Galina Sergeyevna says the article is ruining their reputation and business. Katya turns on the recorder and says she wants justice. Galina Sergeyevna laughs, claiming their connections are high up and the investigation will be dropped. Roman tries to calm his mother, but she shakes his hand off. Galina Sergeyevna says she's tired of pretending and putting up with the lowlifes her son brings. Elena, Vera, now a teacher. Roman tries to stop her, but she says she fought for his future her whole life, that his father wanted to abandon them, but she wouldn't let him. She accuses her son of weakness and squandering everything she's created. She recounts how she got rid of Lena and pushed Vera away to show her son what strength is. Roman is horrified. He believed these were accidents. Galina Sergeyevna snorts contemptuously, saying he always saw what he wanted to see.